Welcome back to some more Material UI with myself, Myron, here to bring you another special component. So this is all part of our initial setup to get the entire application to be using Material UI. Now, the only two pieces that you're not going to see me swap out is going to be this header area. We could potentially use something called app bar from Material UI, but I want to save that for when we have something a little bit more complex. And then we'll tackle that. Same thing goes with the footer. We're just going to leave this custom styling on the footer. So the header and the footer are going to be custom styling, but I want to swap out these items for a special component called card. So let's jump over to Material and take a look at what card is. So if we scroll up to card, we can see this is a card. Now it's got the paper stuff in it, but it's got some places for text. If we scroll down, we've also got some spots for media on there. We've got this little avatar showing up here with text here as well. It's got action items on it. So it's got a lot of different things. This here, so we could click on the entire thing. Right? So that would be kind of nice to have the whole thing clickable to move us over to details. And then it's got a clickable area with other actions underneath as well. So it's got lots of different versions, even this one where the media is on the right-hand side. We're going to try and do it, though, where we don't have to use a bunch of custom styling, where we just do out-of-the-box component things, and then we're going to get a whole bunch of custom styling in place. So what I want to do is I want to leverage card, but we want the clickable area, so we want this sort of thing happening. And the thing that's making that happen here on the media is actually this card action that's wrapping media and content here. So that card action is what's actually allowing it to do this here with the clicking. Now, what I'd also like to do is the name of the creature with the little icon here. Now, I'm not going to add in the big picture for it. We might add that in later. But we're just going to try and add the picture to an avatar like this, which that's another added component. So if we open this up here and take a look at the code base, what we're going to see is inside of card and inside of the card header is actually this little avatar. And then we've got the action area, which is this little beaded area over here. So we don't really need the action area because we don't have anything like that, but we do want the rest of it. We want some sort of heading here, we want the avatar, and then I want the description down below. Now we might reduce the amount of space for the description with custom styling, but we're going to handle that when we get to it. So for right now, let's worry about trying to get the card in place, the avatar, our heading, our type, and our description for the physical description. So let's move on over and see what kind of components we need to bring in. So we know we have to bring in avatar. Now we have a whole bunch of card components here. Card header, card media, card content, card actions. We don't need card media because what card media is that's doing this picture area. And like I said, we're not going to do the picture area on this version of it. We're just going to worry about everything else. So we will need card header, card content. We'll bring over card actions, but we're probably not going to need card actions because we don't have any actions on it. We want the whole thing clickable. But what we do want is this clickable area, which is our card action area. So we're going to bring in card action area, card content, and card header. So let's try and get all of that together along with avatar. So I'm going to come up here to the top of the home page. So we're going to get rid of all these other components until we only have the home page. And we're going to take a look at our individual cards, right? So inside of list is our items. So we've got creature list, and then we've got the items, which is going to represent the card. So I'm going to bring open the creature list item, and this is going to be our card. So I'm going to go ahead and bring over avatar. That's going to be that little circle. We're going to bring over card header, card action area and card content. And then we're going to work with these. So card should be wrapping the entire thing. Now, card already uses paper. It's like a subcomponent of that. So I'm going to replace paper with card. And then I need my card header. Now remember, we want card action area wrapping this, so we're going to have card action area. I'm going to move my card header inside of the action area because we want the whole thing to be clickable ultimately. And then we're going to need card content. And then I'm going to move over and we're going to see kind of how we have it set up on material. And I'm going to first do the card action area with the card header. Now the card header we saw over here in this. So I'm going to check out card header and see what we got going on. So for card header, we've got the component here. We've got a title and a subheader on it. So we're going to try and put avatar, the title, and subheader, but we're not going to do action. So I'm actually going to just copy everything over here from these attributes, and we're going to put it on card header. Now it showed it as a self-closing tag because it didn't actually allow any content to be on the inside of it. And then I'm going to remove the closing tag, and for title we actually want the name of the creature, so it's going to be this creature name. Now, I don't necessarily have a subheader, but we could potentially use our type as the subheader. So I'm going to show you what that might look like here. I'm going to copy my creature type label, and then on the subheader, I'm going to use that creature type label. And then action, we said we were going to remove action because we didn't actually want an action there. And then avatar, we're actually not going to use this R ultimately, but I'm going to go ahead and remove this class name on here and remove the ARIA label. And we'll leave the R for right now, and we'll examine avatar in a minute, but I just want to replicate kind of what's going on with our appropriate content. So now that should be able to get rid of name and type. Now we have to get our physical description over there. And we also want the click of the button. So I'm actually going to just take the on click. I'm going to put the on click on the action area. So that's all of our click content. And then I'm going to take what is our typography for physical description, and I'm going to put that inside of this content area. And then we're going to get rid of the rest of this. And test it out. Alright, so it's got the R. The whole thing's clickable, right? Brought us over to the item, and we've got the descriptions. Right? It's not too bad. This is actually pretty nice. But we could take it a step further. We could potentially put the image inside for this avatar. So let's see what we would do in order to do that. So let's take a look at the avatar, right? And then it's using the media. That's because it's got the media right here. But it also, after media, is using card content. So that's what we're using, is our card content with the description in there. So let's go ahead and look at avatar and see what we can pull in there. So avatar with an image allows us to just pass source and pass an alt for it. So let's see if we can do that. We do have access to the image in our data when we're pulling it down. So as we're looping through this item, each one of these as creature has the image path. So on the avatar, I'm going to go ahead and make this a self-closing tag. We're going to pass alt, and my alt's actually just going to be the name. So we'll do creature dot name, and my source is going to be images whack, and I have this on something else. This is already predefined for me, so I can do creature dot image underscore path. So now my avatar should include those images. And there we go. Right? A little bit cooler. Oh, now the MertLap looks like it's not using it. It's just got the M from MertLap. So we have a problem with the MertLap image path here. So we probably have to fix that on the database. But you can see that it has a fallback, which is extremely nice. Now, if we wanted to fix that, we could totally fix that, check out the database, whatnot, but that's not what we're here for. We're here for our actual media. So it's okay that we don't have it here and that there's a problem with it loading here. It's just something for us to fix later. But the nice part is we can see how it has a fallback for that, which makes it really handy. So now we've got our information for each of our creatures, and each one of these is clickable. But I kind of want to add just a little bit more of something else. So what we could potentially do is take these physical descriptions and collapse them and allow them to be expandable. Now this means that we don't want the whole thing to be clickable, we want a portion of it to be clickable, so we'd have to ask ourselves different questions about how we want that to work. But we could potentially make that an expandable area by adding another component called Accordion. So what Accordion does is allows us to take something with like a heading and then open up all of the content for that heading. And you can do that in a multitude of different ways. But for example, if we open this up, what we do is we add Accordion, Accordion summary, and then Accordion details. And then we toggle this back and forth. Now, we could potentially add that, right? But we do have something that looks pretty nice how we have it right now. This is pretty decent. And when we click it, we go to our details, back, go to different details, right? This is rather convenient and gives us a really good look at all of our creatures. Now potentially we could make those adjustments with the accordion. We've got other things that we can do inside of card as well. So let's just take a look at a card and see if there's anything else that we might want to add. So just to recap where we're at, I've added card header, which is taking care of both the avatar, that's the picture. Now this avatar content, it's specifically passing in this avatar. I just copied and pasted over and then looked at avatar's documentation and adjusted it to have the picture rather than a letter. But the avatar accepts any kind of component inside of here. We can put anything in here. We just chose to put avatar. So I could put something else here. This is just a positioning. And then we have title and subheader. Now if we look over at our card documentation and we look at like card header, we can see if there's anything else available to us if we want to use it, right? We have title typography props. So these are props will be forwarded to the title. So if we wanted to change values in the title. So I'm going to show you what this means. So we're going to add this title typography props. So basically in the underneath, it's using title. And title is using typography to render it. So if we send something that is title typography props, we can send it an object, and that object can contain all of the props that we want on typography. Now, this is any typography prop. So you're not going to see this documentation on our header, you're going to see it on typography. And we've already been working with typography. We know it has variant, we know it has component, right? And let's say we put variant, and we'll put an H4, or let's make it a 5. So make it H5, and then we'll put component as an H3. Now you see I'm writing it as though we would write it on typography here, but this is on an object, so we can't write it in that format. But these are the exact same properties that we need. We just have to write it as though we're writing it on an object with key value. So we've got our properties on our object, variant and component. And if we save this, this should be transposed onto our title, changing how our title looks. Hey, see, they made them a little bit larger. Let's go ahead and change it down to like an H6. All right, so we're liking how this looks. Now, this is obviously using some sort of subheading. If I were to open up typography's documentation here, so we're using H6 on the heading, and it's likely using one of the other ones, but let's try subtitle 1 for the other one. So we do have some subheader typography props that we can use. So it's basically going to be the same sort of thing. We're going to have not title typography props, but we're going to have subheader. And then typography props. Now, variant's not going to be an H6, and component's not going to be an H3. Component will have a P tag. Not even a P tag. I'm going to make it a span. And then our variant we want to be the sub, right? So the subtitle is subtitle 1 that we want. Save that. And if we come back over to the page, it's a little bit more prominent. Now this is really nice. Avatar also has some size settings, so we could potentially see if we can bump up the size on the avatar now that we've upped the size on our text. But if we look at avatar, which is under data display, these are its sizes. So we could potentially do different sizes on it, but you can see that it's using some custom classes for sizing, which means we're going to have to get into that a little bit later. So I will be going over how to do this kind of custom sizing, and we'll see that in a little bit. But for right now, what we want to do is we want to do as much as we can with just the built-in component stuff. So I'm back over here on header, just kind of checking things out, seeing if we're all good here. And honestly, I think we're pretty good. Like avatar is some sort of node, action some sort of node, class is some sort of node. So we're going to leave it at that. Now for physical description, we might want to change that up and add that accordion in there. So we could potentially do that, but we don't have to. And I think we're just going to leave it at this. And then when we want to get a little bit more complex, we'll leave that for when we do the custom styling. Because with this custom styling, we have all kinds of stuff that we can start to do to it. But for right now, this is looking pretty sharp. So we'll leave it at this, and we'll come back to visit stuff outside of card later. Now, I do want to touch on some things with card here that we could potentially do. So card's got a lot of options. We just looked at a couple that we wanted. We looked at bringing in this header stuff. So these three pieces here, this is the card header. And then we have card content area. In the card content area, we can pass any kind of typography. We just only had the physical description typography. So we just added the physical description. Could potentially add anything. And then there's little icon buttons for doing various things in here, and it's got this accordion. This is what I meant, like we could add an accordion for our physical description. So like if we were to look at this and then look at that area, it's not built into card itself, it's going to be something else. So we've got card content, we've got this collapse area that it's using and saying whether or not it's expanded, and then we've got the action here of the expand icon that's actually clicking and handling the expand click. Right, so we can use this collapse component to collapse and expand things. So that's potentially what I was talking about with the physical description. But if we did that, we couldn't make the entire card clickable because this piece would need to be clickable. Now, as we get into some more complex stuff, we're going to take a look at that because some of this is going to require some custom styling. And I don't want to get into custom styling here. I just wanted to use a component as far as we could use a component without getting any kind of custom styling. So you can get something that looks pretty sharp without doing any additional styling. So please join me on the next round where we start to look at theming and how we actually alter the colors, because this blue doesn't really match our header blue, and maybe we don't want these grays in here, maybe we want them to be something else. And then same thing here on our edit page. Maybe we want to take this a different direction. So join me for the next video where we talk about theming.